What would you do if you saw a group of kids dragging a quiet girl by her arm, pulling her toward the door like she didn't belong in the room? Most people would look away, maybe pretend they didn't see it. But that day someone was watching. Someone who wasn't about to stay silent. And when the truth came out, those bullies learned a lesson they would never forget. Amara had always been the quiet one. She was the kind of girl who preferred to sit at the back of the class, doodling small sketches in her notebook instead of drawing attention to herself. Her family had moved into the neighborhood only a few months earlier, and being one of the very few black students at her new school made her stand out in ways she didn't want to. The stares, the whispered comments, the jokes about her hair or the way she spoke. Amara had learned to swallow them all, burying her feelings deep where no one could see. She thought if she stayed quiet, the storm would pass. But storms don't end when silence is mistaken for weakness. It started with small things: a pencil stolen, her backpack thrown across the hall, laughter when she walked by. Amara told herself she could handle it, that she didn't need to complain. But the truth was, every day, the weight grew heavier. It was on a rainy Tuesday when the bullying took a darker turn. Logan, the loudest of the group, decided that Amara needed to be taught a lesson. As class ended, he and his friends cornered her near the door. They grabbed her arm, pulling her roughly toward the hallway exit. "Come on," he sneered. "Let's show you where you really belong." His buddies laughed, shoving her closer to the door as if the classroom wasn't her place at all. Amara's heart raced. She wanted to scream, to fight back, but years of keeping her head down had trained her to freeze. The harder they pulled, the more she felt the sting of shame, shame that she didn't deserve but carried all the same. And then something unexpected happened. From the far corner of the classroom, just before they reached the door, a chair scraped against the floor. Someone had been watching. Someone whose silence was about to break. It wasn't another student. It wasn't even the teacher. It was the janitor, Mr. Brooks, a tall man with a calm presence who had been quietly fixing a desk near the back. Most kids never paid him much attention. To them, he was just the janitor. But to Amara, the way he looked at her that moment, firm, steady, and unflinching, was unlike anything she had ever seen. His voice cut through the laughter. "Let her go." Now, the bullies froze, startled that someone they had never respected was standing up to them. Logan tried to smirk his way through. "Relax, old man. We're just playing around." But Mr. Brooks didn't move, didn't blink. His eyes stayed locked on them. "You think dragging someone against their will is a game?" His tone was sharp, steady as stone. For a second, silence filled the room. Amara's arm trembled in Logan's grip. Then slowly, one by one, the boys let go. But the look on Mr. Brooks's face said this wasn't over. And Amara, for the first time in a long while, felt the first spark of safety, like maybe she wasn't as invisible as she thought. Two that night. Amara couldn't stop replaying the moment. The laughter, the tug on her arm, and then the voice of the man everyone ignored. Why did he care? Why hadn't he looked away like the others? The next day, when she saw Mr. Brooks sweeping the hallway, she whispered a soft, "Thank you." He gave her a small smile, but his answer was something she never expected. "I've seen too much of that in my life," he said quietly. "Too many people standing by while others suffer. You don't deserve that. You deserve better." As days passed, Amara noticed he was always nearby when school ended, always making sure the halls were safe. Slowly, she began to open up to him. She told him about the loneliness, the nights she cried herself to sleep, the way she wished she could be strong enough to fight back. Mr. Brooks listened carefully, never rushing her words. Then one afternoon, he asked her a question that changed everything. "What if I showed you how to be strong? Not just in your fists, but in your spirit?" It turned out Mr. Brooks wasn't just a janitor. Before his quiet job at the school, he had been a Marine, a man who had seen the worst of the world, but also learned the meaning of courage. He began teaching Amara self-defense in the empty gym after hours. But more than the moves, he taught her how to stand tall, how to look people in the eyes, how to believe in her own worth. Bullies feed on silence. He told her one evening as she practiced blocking a shove. But the moment you remember your strength, their power ends. Weeks passed, and Amara changed. The once quiet girl who hid in the back of the class began sitting straighter, speaking a little louder, and meeting the bully's eyes instead of looking away. The shift was subtle, but Logan and his crew noticed. They tried to corner her again, but this time, when they pulled at her, she didn't freeze. She yanked her arm back with force, her voice steady. "Don't touch me again." The firmness in her tone shocked them more than anything else. But the real moment came later. A school assembly brought everyone into the gym. Logan, still hungry for attention, decided to mock her in front of the crowd, calling her names, trying to humiliate her. Before she could even respond, another voice echoed through the gym. Not Mr. Brooks this time, but the principal, who had witnessed everything from the stage. "Enough," the principal said sharply. The room went silent. We all saw what happened. And I want to make something clear: this school will not tolerate cruelty. It turned out Mr. Brooks had already spoken to the principal about what he had seen weeks earlier. The administration had been watching closely, waiting for the truth to come out. That day, Logan and his friends faced consequences, not just detention but a serious meeting with their parents. More importantly, the whole school saw Amara differently. Not as the quiet girl they could push around, but as someone who had endured and risen stronger. As the assembly ended, Amara caught Mr. Brooks's eyes from the back of the gym. He didn't say a word, but the proud smile on his face was enough. She had found her voice. She had found her strength. And she had proven that even the quietest girl in the room could change everything. Especially when someone cared enough to watch, to step in, and to remind her that she was never invisible. Sometimes all it takes is one person who refuses to look away. One person who sees you, who reminds you of your strength, who steps in when everyone else stays silent. Amara's story isn't just about bullying. It's about courage, kindness, and the power of standing up for what's right. Because no matter how quiet you are, your voice matters. And you are never truly alone.